So we are recording the class. This will be available on our E2P training drive, probably by the end of the week. And I want to let everybody know who doesn't already know who Sam Jackson is, a little bit about him, so that you can understand what a treat it is to have him helping us out today. Sam has a background in marketing and advertising. He's been a team leader for a couple of years inside Keller Williams, and then made the move to become Director of Innovation. He's currently out of the Georgia Legacy Group and oversees multiple market centers to help with their technology. And this year added being a maps coach to his resume. So that is a huge accomplishment. He focuses on technology, and I believe that you guys can all see that he would be a great person to teach this class to us today about how to grow your business with more online reviews and testimonials. We are loving the questions in the chat, so keep them rolling. And Sam, I am going to stay on throughout the class, so if you have questions or need help with any Zoom stuff, you just let me know.
Cool, excellent. And yeah, thank you for the warm introduction. I'm super excited to be here and returning the favor because Amy was so nice to come teach to my market centers. It seems like that was 4 months ago, but it was literally the same month. So I appreciate you in training classes. And yeah, I would love participation today. So I see a lot of really great questions and conversations in the chat already, but feel free to take yourself off mute and interrupt me, please. Like, I'm not one that needs to go through slides for the next however long this is going to take, but please feel free to just interrupt me or interject if you need me to go back on something, or if you want to talk about it in a little bit more detail. But super excited to be here. And yeah, as Amy kind of mentioned, my background is advertising and marketing. I have a degree in advertising, not that anyone actually uses their degree for anything, but I have a passion for consumer behavior and really the online space. I got my start in Keller Williams working for a top producer in my hometown of Pittsburgh. I worked with the Karen Marshall Group. We did roughly $75 million in production. Like, that was our normal year. And I was the director of marketing for that group. So I hope I know what I'm talking about, but if not, please interject, things change. So, but excited to kind of share with you with this idea of getting more business through online reviews and testimonials. And I'll do my best to kind of cover what I saw in the chat. We'll cover some things, but today's agenda, we're going to talk about the why it's so important to kind of hang out in the space of getting online reviews and testimonials. I'm going to show you what it takes to get or to make a great testimonial, really. So I think it's fair to say that not all testimonials are created equally. I'm going to show you the difference between those. And then true to Keller Williams, there's always a model or a system. And I'm going to show you what system or systems we can use to kind of guarantee that you're going to get testimonials if you implement these things. So just like lead generation, if I were to go door knock, I can't go knock on one door and say that, hey, that's a system. I'm going to show you the different things that we need to do to make sure that we're consistently getting online reviews and testimonials. And then if we have time today, I'm going to get to the techie part, probably not for the in-depth part of what you can do with your command websites, but we'll kind of use that number 4 for Q&A for today. Cool. And then I'll do my best to kind of watch the chat and cover any questions that may come up. So let's talk about the why. Why is it so important that we get testimonials? I love this. This is really, really cool. So this is a Did You Know section. I borrowed this from a book called Building Your Story Brand, written by Donald Miller. And this is a wonderful book. Highly recommend reading this one because it's going to walk you through creating everything from your brand and your identity all the way to the last chapter, which is testimonials. And it talks about the various studies from the American Marketing Association, which is kind of like the leading research arm of marketing in that world. It says that the AMA have shown that referrals and peer recommendations are up to 2.5 times more responsive than any other type of marketing channel. So how many of you feel like, oh, I'm doing Facebook ads, or I'm doing Facebook posts, or I'm doing all these cool things online, and yet I don't feel like I'm gaining any traction? A lot of times it feels like we're just running on a treadmill. This little shift into focusing on getting online reviews and testimonials is 2.5 times more effective and more responsive than any other type of marketing. So let's talk about this for example. So like, why the heck are there some pictures of a car storage picture up here on my screen? Has anyone like ever traveled a really far distance and had to use one of these like over the car like carriers on top of your vehicle? Yeah, John's with me. I saw the hand raised. I'm really good with technology. I think I'm a pretty smart person, but when it comes to like getting my hands on anything, especially like with a vehicle, I panic, right? Like if I had to change my own oil, I'd probably like choose death. That's how afraid I am of like messing up something with my car. So my wife surprised me and she said, "Hey, we're gonna go to Hilton Head, which is in South Carolina. It's like for us, like maybe like a 5 hour drive with kids. It's closer to 8. But we're gonna head away for our fall break, and we're gonna she surprised me. We're gonna throw all the stuff on top of our car with one of these car carriers." And like I had this moment of panic. I'm like, oh my God, like I've never had to use one of these things before. Like we always just took absolutely what we needed to go to the beach. And she's like, no, we need the room. We got to do this. And so for me, I started like panicking a little bit. I was like, all right, what am I gonna do? Like, I don't know how these things install. I don't know if it's going to fit my car. I don't know all of these things. And so I started to go online and I started reading reviews for a couple of different like cargo carriers or these like on the car storage. And I came across this review right here. I'll give you a second to read it, but I'll read it out loud. It said, "Great product." And Jimmy, I don't know who Jimmy is, but Jimmy gives it a 5-star review, and he did this 2 years ago. He says, "We bought this carrier because there were 7 of us going to Florida for a week and did not have room inside the van for all of our luggage and other items, ice chests, umbrellas, folding chairs, etc. We put 6 suitcases in it, which filled it up. We drove about 500 miles to our destination, not one problem. 2 days into our trip, Hurricane Barry hit, rain and high winds. We started back home, driving through all of that. When we got home, took all the suitcases out and not one drop of moisture in the car. If they were more than 5 stars, I would get it to them." Now, me as a consumer, I had all of this angst, all of this anxiety, all of this concern about what's going to happen. Like, am I going to be driving down the interstate and all of my clothes and luggage and valuables and all the things that I need for this week, is it going to go blowing down the interstate? And then I read this and I see, okay, Jimmy here, good guy, drove through a hurricane. I'm going to drive through like nice sunny weather from Georgia to South Carolina. And all of my fear went away when I read this as a consumer. And I bought the same exact product. The same exact one that Jimmy here recommended. And I don't even care that it was 2 years ago. For me, it touched all of the pain points that I had as a consumer, so that I then had the confidence to go ahead and use that product. The beauty about a really well-written testimonial is it gives the consumer the permission to go second. There's going to be a lot of people that do not know you, even in the real estate world, who may know you, like you, and they're still figuring out whether or not they trust you. And they're certainly still figuring out if they're willing to do business with you. But whenever somebody else writes a glowing review that touches on all of the same pain points that somebody else may have, it gives that person permission to go second. And that is huge for consumer confidence. So what makes a great testimonial? Well, I put it up there on the slide. We want it to be specific, real. Is there anyone here that's ever felt like they've read a testimonial online that wasn't real? Like it was almost written by the company, right? Specific, real. We want it to be thorough, beneficial, and if possible, transformational. When I look back at our buddy here, Jimmy, went the wrong way. Our buddy Jimmy, do we hit those 5 points? Do we hit that home run, especially with the transformational? He more or less says his concern. I mean, he doesn't come out and say that he has the concern of the same thing that I did with all of my luggage and clothes going down the interstate. And yet I felt a transformation that he had confidence in this product. He had maybe some fear in this product for his first time use, and he was able to overcome that once he experienced the product. When we look at Jimmy and his great product review, it was definitely specific. Shared, little details like, I'm going to Florida for a week, doing 500 miles, the hurricane, the whole thing. I have no doubt it was real, right? And part of that is being as specific as you can. It's thorough. It's not that he just said, hey, this is a great product, and I hope that you find room. He was able to really share that. I was able to pack in 6 suitcases. And then from there, the benefits and the transformation is easy for me as a consumer to see. So let's do this little side-by-side comparison. When I take a look at other testimonials, here are some that don't hit those 5 points, right? Maybe this lives on your website. Maybe this lives on your Google or your Zillow. But how many of you have a testimonial right now that looks like number 1? Sam was great to work with. Now do me a favor and do this with me. Please, like imaginary, like grab the realtor hat off of your head. Let's just grab it and sit it down to the seat next to you. Let's think like a consumer for a second. If I see Sam was great to work with, how does that help me as a consumer to go second? It doesn't, right? Like Sam's maybe a great person, but I know a lot of great people. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's smart with real estate or could help me through a relocation, anything like that. How about number two? Sam did what he said he would do. We closed on time. I'd recommend Sam to my friends. Get a little bit better, right? Get a little bit better. But is it specific? Is it real? Is it thorough? I don't know that we hit the thorough part. I don't even know what Sam said he would do, technically, right? So there's an opportunity here that we can get a little bit more thorough with these details. And then number three, this is kind of what we're looking for. This is how we want to get our clients, past and current, to write us a glowing review. I was relocated to another city for my job. I needed someone who could sell my house quickly because I didn't want to worry about a vacant home 600 miles away. Sam eased all of my concerns and sold my house faster than I could have ever imagined. So this is a great example of what you want to receive from your clients, right? This is taking somebody through that transformation of, I had that pain. I didn't want to live, I want to have a vacant house 600 miles away. I need somebody who can help me with the relocation. I need someone who would close on time, things like that. So the question is, how do we get someone to write your recommendation that looks more like number three? How do we do it? And I really got to reevaluate my slides. I give you the answers to all my questions. We got to ask better questions. We have to ask better questions. If you want better online reviews, the only way that you can do that is to ask better questions. So how many of you know an agent, because I know it's not you, reaches out to your database at sometime after closing and say, hey, will you leave a review for me online? Will you leave me a review?
I do it.
Tanvi, we're going to stop doing that today. We're going to ask better questions. So let's think about this. If you're asking customers to write a testimonial and they don't do it, or they give you something that looks more like version 1 that says Sam's a great guy, it's for two reasons. And think about this yourself. Like, hopefully you're still wearing your consumer hat. Number one is they're too busy to give deep thought into writing a great testimonial. How many of you are busy right now? And like, no judgment, how many of you are multitasking while I'm talking? And that's okay. Like, we're all super busy, right? Like, it's Monday. We're coming back from fall break down here in the South. Like, it's crazy. Like, we have so much going on. But like, I'm too busy to go out and write a testimonial for, you know, even my favorite person. Heck, I barely call my mom enough times during the month, let alone write a review for somebody. And then number two, people are subpar writers or communicators. They would love to write you something that looks more like number three, that hits all 5 of those key points. However, they just don't have the skill or maybe even the, I don't want to call it mindset, or like the ability to write a glowing review. Maybe writing's not something to do on a regular basis. So we have to be able to overcome that. And the way we do that is we can just ask really, really good questions. And I'll share the slides with Amy on this next one, but feel free to take a screenshot of this if you'd like. I'm going to give you 2 models, and they are both 5 questions that you can ask your clients. Okay. So these are the best questions. This is option number 1. So instead of saying, will you write me an online review, pose this question instead. What concerns did you have when selling your house? What did you find as a result of selling your house with Sam Jackson? Well, and don't say Sam Jackson, put your name or your team in there, obviously, right? Number 3, what specifically did you like about working with Sam Jackson? What would you say to a homeowner who is on the fence? And you can swap out the word homeowner for buyer, someone relocating, you know, make it kind of cater towards that that person's particular situation of why they moved. And then number 5, anything else to add? Because remember, people are either too busy or they're not so great at writing. When we ask these questions in a certain way, we're going to get great online reviews in return. Why is that? And that's a live question. Yeah, Amy, tell them what you're looking for.
How do you know what they want in a home?
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, we just need to make it easy for them. If we're assuming that they're very busy and we're assuming that they, let's stay in culture, suck at writing reviews or just suck at writing or aren't creative or don't know the right words to say, that's okay. These questions make it to where they can't give a wrong answer. They can't write that level 1 review that we kind of started the class with, right? They can't say Sam is great to any of these questions. So I'm gonna say, hey, Amy, would you mind writing an online review for me? Here's the link to my Google page. And just to maybe give you some inspiration, because I know you're busy and maybe it's been a while since you've written your last review. I put together 5 questions for you, just that if you can answer those and put those onto my Google review, that'd be wonderful. Just make sure that you delete the actual question for me. You're going to go through all 5 of those things, right? We're going to be specific, we're going to be thorough, and absolutely we're going to be detailed. And only, by the way, it's going to be authentic and real. All right, so that's option number 1. Option number 2. Notice they're going to be very, very similar, just worded a little bit differently. And by the way, this is, again, I'm not promoting, I have no ties to this book other than it was a really great one I read. This one also comes from that book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. This is another form of his testimonial writing reviews. Number 1, what was the problem you were having before you discovered me? What did that frustration feel like as you tried to solve that problem? What was different about our service or product? And let's just assume maybe you're offering something else there, like property management. Oops, and I have a typo there. Take us to the moment when you realized our services was actually working to solve your problem. Tell us what your life looks like now that you solved your problem or is being currently solved. I'll give you a second to go ahead and screenshot those if you need to. Can you feel the arc of these questions as they're kind of naturally yielded to like a transformational story? What was your problem? What were the emotions tied to that problem? When you found us, what was different? How were we able to help you? Right? This isn't, hey, leave an online review for me. It was great working with you. This is going to naturally pull out the best response out of people when you kind of frame it this way. You can see that arc. You're going to see this basically like a storytelling coming out of these questions. And before I move on to the next part, any questions, thoughts, comments, ahas? Let's stop here for a second.
So I think you made it really clear on how phrasing the questions can really be impactful on the results.
Boy, if there is just one skill set that I could like just bap you all on the head with, and I'm speaking to my agents, not yours, not to any of you, just in general, the skill of asking great questions is probably the best skill that you can have, not only as a real estate professional, but just as a human. Think about like your listing presentations. If you were to go in instead of presenting and you went instead of asking questions, wouldn't it be easier to get that person to sign the listing agreement? Same thing with online reviews. When we get to know what our person's pain point is, or to walk them through, that positive future, that exciting place that when we do sell your house, how great life will be. We're not necessarily negotiating my commission at the back end of that, right? Like we're able to kind of uncover the emotion of why this is so important. And I'm building trust and rapport all along the way. Same thing after the fact. I'm going to ask these questions so I can build trust and rapport and get the review that I want out of people.
Yeah, Tanvi said that these are great questions and it surely makes them think deep.
Yeah. And honestly, copy and paste them, like just put these into an email. We're actually going to break into that next, but we're going to create a system. How do I guarantee that I get this every time? Now, I'm going to show you let's call it a model, let's call it a system. But it's very, very important that like no business is the same, right? Like my business is going to be very different from your business. I can't give you just my playbook and say, go do it. I'm here to inspire you for you to put your own system in place. But let me show you these 4 parts that I think that are really, really important. Number 1 is we're going to identify our existing customers. Number 2 is we're going to make it easy for our customers to spread the word, kind of like what we already started with. Number 3, we're going to talk to your broker to see what you're allowed to do on this one, but offering a reward is also really, really important. And then lastly, we're going to automate the work. How do we automate this to where like it's almost automatic or auto magic? Every time that we close on a client, we can get this bad boy out. So number 1, identify your existing customers. Honestly, not to completely dumb this down or to water this down, this comes down to the 4 laws of a database. It always comes back to this darn book, right? Always comes back to this book. And oh yeah, by the way, this was written in 2004, before like we really had Google reviews at a high level. Still applies. What we're looking at though is the 4 laws of a database. And number 2, the second law after feed your database, is segment your database. You need to be able to go through, whether it's 100 contacts, 10 contacts, or 20,000 contacts, we got to be able to go through your database and identify who are my past clients, number 1, because I'm not going to ask future clients. They don't know me, right? That's just not possible. We need to know who your past clients are. And we want to know who your raving fans are. Who are the people that would like never say a bad word about you? Who are the people that every time you call them, have something positive to share, have a referral for you? Or maybe it's the person who just like always likes, comments, posts, and shares your Facebook pages. Like, is it that, I don't want to call them creepy, but like maybe it's your favorite person on social media that like stalks you to the point where like, I know this person's my go-to person. I need to identify these people in my database because they're the people I want to ask first. Because just like seeing an online review and having permission to go second, same thing with reviews. When I get my first person to write a review for me and somebody goes to a blank Google page, they're going to have some apprehension. I don't want to be the first person to write a review. But if you can get your raving fan, that go-to person to write that first review for you, the rest of your past clients will go. But your raving fan is like your lead domino. We need that person to go there first. Okay. So go to your database and tag those people. Number 2, we need to make it easy for your customers to spread the word. And this is probably going to answer one of the questions that we had inside of the chat earlier. It would make sense if I were to create a link, an active link that people can click on to go directly to my Facebook review page, to go to my Google review page and my Zillow review page, or even my website to go to these places. I don't want to ask the question, will you go fill out an online review everywhere you want to and just leave it up to my client to just go wander the internet? So what's going to happen is they're going to go to Facebook. They're going to see their Tammy who posted a picture of her really nice lunch from over the weekend. And then she's lost in the comments. We lost them. We got to the Facebook and that was that. The goal here is I'm going to send them a specific link that goes directly to my Facebook business review. Same thing with my Google, same thing with my Zillow. And then if I'm sending to my own website there as well. So what I'd highly recommend is create either an email template to where you have all of this spelled out with all of your hot links that directs people to those pages, or create like a fun PDF that's more graphic based. But the key thing is just make sure that you have clickable links that get people exactly to those places that you want to guide them to.
Sam, can I ask a question here?
Yeah, please. And is it Tanvi?
Yes. So I'm a new agent and I've been in the business only a few months and I've got few deals and few testimony. And what I did with those is I just had them message it to me, their testimony, and they did like number 3 you showed. So it was a good testimony. But then I created a template in Canva just saying client testimony and their words and their names at the bottom. Is that something that you recommend, or you recommend the way you just did, right? Like the Zillow and all those, like, which is more effective?
Yeah, so your practice is okay. Your practice will work actually perfectly for your own personal website. So for example, for those of you who are using the new command websites, probably the best way to get those reviews is exactly what you did. Just get some type of written testimony, and then you can kind of copy and paste those and manage those yourself inside of Command. However, I would not recommend that practice for Facebook, Google, Zillow, or anywhere else that's like a true third party, because basically they know every data piece that happens. So if they see that you are logging in from the same IP address and you're writing reviews kind of posing as other people, they'll flag your account, because they know they're not coming from you. That's why, like, when you go to Amazon, like right now, you'll see that designation that says like authenticated purchase or something like that. It'll like they do some fact checking to make sure that person actually purchased the product. If you were to go and write reviews for people like via Facebook and Google, it would create a problem.
So I don't write. Yeah, so I don't write reviews under reviews, but I like create a design, like a poster, how you create a flyer.
Yeah.
And then I post that image and I write some words that, I started working with this buyer for a month ago, and this is where we are at, and this is the testimony. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but I get your point, that we should have them write on Facebook and directly, right? Yeah, I get your point.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're using the testimonial more so as like a touch, like that's like a post I put on Facebook a little bit to like brag about myself and the experience, right?
Yes, but I want to stop that. Like, I want to do what you're recommending, because I know that's more effective.
Do both, right? So I think what you're doing is great. That's good content. That's, again, giving people permission to go second, and you're pushing that content out there. However, long term, we need people to discover us on Facebook, Google, and Zillow, and the online reviews is a great place to look for that. You need those to kind of live there permanently.
Got it. Thank you.
So I would do both. Keep doing what you're doing. And Brian asked a question in the chat, and I think this is really smart. So is there a way to have the same review post on different sites? Yes and no. So again, like, everything on the internet is like, there's so much data behind it, and every single, oh man, I need a good analogy for here. It's almost like being in multiple relationships. It's like if I'm dating Facebook and I'm dating Google, they don't want to know that I'm dating each other. So like when I go to Facebook, Facebook wants to feel special, and Facebook wants to think that I'm only in a relationship with Facebook. And the same thing with Google. Google wants to think that I'm only in a relationship with Google. So if I show up with the same exact copy and pasted review in both places, they're not going to be happy with me. So what I'd recommend is think about, and we're going to talk this a little bit more about like automating your system. I gave you two options today on how to get great testimonials. I would maybe use option one whenever you go under contract. And I would say, hey, so excited we're under contract today. Would you do me a favor? Like, it's been great working with you. I know we're not at the finish line yet, but would you mind just writing an online review for me? And I would share option two that says, tell me about the pain and problems that you had leading up to until you met me. And then I would give them maybe only a link to Google and Zillow. And then when we get to closing date, fast forward to the future, I would give them option one, which are similar questions, but different. I'm going to get the same great testimony written out of them. I'm going to get it reframed a different way. And then I would maybe only give them links to Facebook and my website. So I'm still going to pull out really great reviews from my people, and they're going to show up differently in different places. Does that make sense, Brian? Did I answer your question? Does that make sense collectively for the group? Okay. Okay. All right. Moving on here. All right. Number 3, and again, ask for permission from your broker of record on what you can do with things like perks and offering a reward. But I want to clarify some things here a little bit. I don't necessarily mean if you go to my Facebook and post a referral, or not referral, an online review, I'm going to give you a $5 gift card to Tim Hortons or Dunkin' Donuts, whatever. I'm not rewarding necessarily the behavior of that. My goal is to create a reward program. Anyone familiar, and I don't use this personally, but anyone familiar with like HelloFresh, like the meal services? Anyone use that? Amy, since I saw your hand raised, I'm going to pick on you a little bit.
Yeah, I used it once for like a couple weeks.
Okay, excellent. I think, and there's a million of different companies that use these. Peloton, I think, is another one. But how many of those companies, or maybe you have another one in mind, that when you refer a friend, What do they normally give you in return?
Some sort of discount, $5, $10, a percentage off.
Yeah, a free meal or a discount, or you know, my buddy Marty Miller, he's referred enough people to Peloton that I think they now like they clothe him, like they give him fleeces and stuff every week. But when you refer enough people to their program, you get rewarded. And it's not anything huge, right? Like it's a $5 value to something, or it's free swag in the case of like Peloton, you get a t-shirt or a hoodie or something like that. But the idea here is I'm going to reward the behavior whenever someone posts online. Now, I have yet to quite figure this out or see someone who does this really, really well within real estate, but there's a lot of really great companies that we can model off of that do tiered platforms. Hey, when you refer one friend, or in this case, if you write one online review for us, I'll give you a blank. At 5, we're going to do something a little bit cooler. At 10, I'll give you a $500 discount the next time we close, or $1,000 off my commission the next time we close. Something like that. But we're going to create a reward system, not just a one-time one and done. Here's a Dunkin' gift card. We're talking about a system that people that when they review and review and review and review, you're increasing your stakes on what you're rewarding them.
I work with a team who does something a little bit like this. They have, again, like you're saying, reward the behavior, where they get a referral, they get a X amount of, gift certificate to XYZ place. When the referral then turns into a client, they follow up with the original referrer, give them another thank you gift. And then when the referee closes, they follow up with the referrer with something else again.
Yeah. And what's so huge here, like if I can hammer this one home, as Amy said, reward the behavior, not the outcome. Reward the behavior, not the outcome. If I create my system, if I send those 5 questions and I still get back that level 1 review that says Sam is great, I'm still rewarding that person. I may be disappointed, and that's on me. That's my emotions, but I'm still rewarding that person because I want to create that raving fan, right? I want to reward that person that every time that they do something great for me, they get a little treat. It's the Pavlovian response. Not, go back to the ring the bell and your dog's mouth's water. The goal is that I want to reward the behavior that whenever this happens, they get X. All of the above. Yeah, Corey. So are you rewarding reviews or just referrals? All of them. And maybe you create a program that's mirrored with online reviews and referrals, but almost always, if I can give a gift away to reinforce positive behavior, I want to do that. Every time. And again, just to cover my own rear end, confirm with your broker what you can give away.
Yeah.
That's being recorded, right? Okay, covered.
Corey asked a good question just above that too. And he said, is there a way to get a notification when somebody posts a review for each of these places? Oh yeah, sorry, Corey, missed that. Yeah, so typically it's important that you own those pages, right? So for those of you who haven't created a Google business yet, go do that. If you just Google my business, and that's the phrase, Google my business, that'll take you into the program to where you can put yourself on the map and you can create a thumbprint for your business online. That's the place where you can get those reviews. It's tied to your email. So when you do get a review, you should get pinged or you should get an email from Google saying, hey, you have a new review. Facebook uses their own notification system. So if somebody hits a review on your business page, you're going to get notified. Usually inside the notification center inside of Facebook. And then Zillow's the same way. I think you get an email from them. But yeah, in most places, you definitely will get some type of notification that you received a review. I would just probably double check, go into the settings of each of those websites and look at your notifications. There's a good chance that maybe you turned a lot of those off. With some of them, like I believe, especially Facebook, you can check individual things that you get notified on. I would just make sure that notifications is turned on for online reviews. Good questions. Cool. Last but not least, automate it, right? And when I say automate, I mean, my mind automatically goes to smart plans inside of Command. As much as I love Command, if you're not using Command,
You could use this pretty much in every other CRM, maybe not as intuitive as text message, email, and other things like that. But make sure that you create a system that you can automate. If it's to start, if this is your very first time and you're maybe a little bit afraid of command, go into Google inside of Gmail and just start with an email template. Start there if you need to. Just build out what's my email that I'm going to basically copy and paste to send out every time I go under contract and every time I get closed. And then from there, you can build that and automate it completely into a smart plan inside of command that says, hey, when I give somebody a tag that says under contract, Smart Plans kicks off and sends them a text message saying, hey, congratulations. And then it waits a day and sends them an email that says, hey, it's been so great to work with you. I'm so glad we're under contract. And then those 5 questions. But yeah, use a variation of calls, texts, and emails. Again, this is going to go back to that make it easy for your customers, because not everyone's going to respond to email. Not everyone's going to respond to text. And some people prefer a phone call. So make sure you're hitting all 3 of those as you communicate, because some people are going to have different preferences. And you're going to kick yourself if you didn't call a person saying, hey, do you mind leaving on a review? Because they didn't read your emails, they didn't look at your text messages. You don't want to leave anything on the table. Make sure you hit all 3 types of major communication: calls, text, emails. I don't think you have to show up to their door and do a pop by for this, but I would say that if you're just kind of automating these 3 things, calls, text, emails, you should be in good shape. And that's it. That's all. My goal here is not to make it too complicated. This is really, really easy. We just gotta use some insights here. But what are your questions? What are your ahas? What are you taking away from today?
Could you go into a little more detail about the create active link form or PDF that I can send direct links to Facebook, Google, Zillow, and my website?
Yeah, let me do that. Let me share a different screen. As I lost Zoom, let me bring that back up. All right. So let's go to Facebook, for example. So inside of Facebook, I can go to the pages that I manage, and Facebook may look different for everybody. But ultimately, I just want to go to my business page, and I'll just use this old one for now. But let's just assume this is your real estate page, right? Inside of Facebook, I have my menu right here. So I have home, I have reviews. And then if reviews does not show up in this number 2 spot for you, you can always click on this more button, and you can find reviews along this menu as well. But basically, I just want to get to the spot where I can click this. Now, when I click this, you're going to see at the very top of my screen, my Facebook URL is going to change. It's going to go to the review screen. And then I want to basically copy this link up here. And this is the one that I want to create in a hot sheet, whether it's in my email template or in a PDF that I'm actually designing that looks a little bit more designed and a little bit more like a marketing piece. I want to create this as my clickable link that when I say, hey, go to Facebook, I want to be able to click on a button and be able to go directly here. I don't want to say, go to Facebook, find my business page, click on reviews, leave me a review. I want to do as much as the legwork as I can. I want to send them directly to my review page. From here, consumers are smart enough, they know how to do it. Now I'm showing you what it looks like as the admin, so it's going to be a little bit different view. Is there a way to view it? Yeah, view it as a person. So somebody can come in here and click a review, share his feedback. Oh no, that's not feedback's the wrong one. Man, Facebook makes it really hard when you're logged into your own page. Amy, do you know where the button is to see it as if you were a stranger?
Can you switch your, I know it always moves. They're always updating things.
Yeah.
Can you switch your picture to, you see a little profile picture? Oh.
Yeah, I already changed
You're
it.
in a Sam. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah, the best way to do that is like go to here. We'll do incognito.
Or the 3 dots next to your picture.
Yeah, I thought that too. No, I didn't do it here. I'm going to go in incognito. This should work. Can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
So I'm going to paste that review in. So this is as if I weren't logged into Facebook crud. No, I'm not logged in. Essentially though, when somebody that's not you is logged into Facebook and they go to a review page, instead of seeing like these non-helpful buttons like send message or learn more, there's going to be a button that says leave a review. I can probably demonstrate that a little bit better if I go to a page that's not mine.
I would say, do you want to just go to mine? It's just the social stack.
Yeah. Perfect. Here we go. I don't know why we didn't think to do that to start. Yeah, so so Amy has reviews in her third or fourth spot. So I can click on this. And for example, for Amy, this is the page that I'd want to send people to. I want to copy and paste this link here and write a review. Do you recommend? So you saw when I was logged in on my own page, it said, do you want to provide feedback? On Amy's page, it says, do you recommend the social stack? So it's the difference between consumer and admin. On mine, it was worded a little bit differently. It was weird. This is how a normal consumer would see it. I can come in here and I can recommend the social stack. And when I do this, it's basically going to give me the star ratings. Post. And then I should hit refresh and see that now. Yeah, there we go. And now I've written a review on the social stack. But what I'd want to do is I want to copy this page up here that says facebook.com/ whatever my page name is /reviews. And this is the link that I want to copy and put that into like a canned email. I'm gonna get all my stuff out of the way now. So if I were to write an email, I would say, you know, leave a review. Here, let me pop that out so it's larger for everyone. Leave a review. Oh boy. There we go. And then paste that link in. And then basically I would do the same thing 4 times. And just swap out that link for your Zillow link.
Hey, Sam, should you make those a hyperlink or do you prefer to just leave them like that?
I would make this a hyperlink. Yeah. I'm surprised it didn't do it automatically. Yep. There you go. Thank you. And the same thing. I would just do that. A total of 4 times. So for me, Zillow, Google, Facebook, and then your own personal website are the best places to put those. If you have clients that are using realtor.com at a high level, if you prefer to do realtor.com, you can do that as well. But any website that you think is important, but like the big 3 for real estate are truly Zillow, Facebook, and Google.
Can you show on Zillow, how do you, like, I don't know, do you have to create an account on Zillow for you to have a Zillow review link?
Yeah. So you should, I don't use Zillow often because it's not my friend. But if you Google Zillow agent login, you should have a profile that says something like Premier Agent.
Oh,
Take
I
you to like
see.
the agent portal.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yep.
Okay, I will look into it.
Yep. And my profile is like, I'm not licensed, so my profile is not going to really be complete. But essentially, you would come to Zillow, do the same thing. You'd find your page, and essentially where Greg Taylor is here, where you see the 52 reviews. Basically, if you get to the point where you can click on that page, that's where you can hyperlink it back. Yeah,
Got it.
My profile.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. What other questions do you have?
I have one that might be kind of a long one.
Okay.
How do you prep people ahead of time? Have you ever used the promise?
Oh, the promise script. You can do that. So this is a little bit different for the promise, because the promise, from my understanding, is the promise script is designed to get a referral at the end, where I'm using this system to get online reviews, which is a little bit different. But the promise script, I don't even want to butcher it. go to YouTube and search Mike Dooley. He's the OG. Mike, U-L-E-Y, promise. Let me see if I just do KW.
Did Tony Baroni do it too? Is it both of them?
Yes,
No,
yeah. So
something else.
Tony's a little bit. He's taken off with it. Mike Dooley was the original creator of the promise script, but yeah, you can do them both. Let me see if I can get that link. I'll include it in here. But there's a really great YouTube video. I believe it's from Mike Dooley. It might be from. It's Tony Baroni. Is that right? Who's done it as well. They'll walk you through the entire system for the promise script. And Amy, do you have Bold coming up in October for your group as well?
We do. It's starting on October 14th. Thanks for asking.
Excellent. I haven't seen the new material because I understand it's a rewrite for Bold. Are you doing it digital or in person?
We are doing it in person.
Okay. I'm going to almost guarantee that's like a 90% promise for me that you'll learn about the promise script at Bold. And I'll leave that as the teaser for you to get more people signed up for Bold. Go to it, please. You'll definitely learn about the promise script and what Mike Dooley and Tony Baroni have done with it. But yeah, let me see if I can find the KW promise script on YouTube. It's a good video. I'll send that to Amy to get out to y'all. But just to give you a quick recap on that one, like the promise script is basically this really good script that you use when you're in your initial consultation. So whether it's a buyer or a seller, you're saying, hey, at the end of this time that we're either buying or selling a house, I'm going to ask you for a referral. And I'm actually going to ask you for basically a review of how I'm doing along the way. And I'll know whether or not I did my job based at the end of this transaction or whenever we close on your home on whether you give me a referral or not. So when I ask you that question and you don't give me a name, I know that I failed you. I want to create such an experience that you feel obligated to share more people into my world or to introduce me to more people. Now, that's my off-the-cuff promise script. You'll get the real one that's actually way more smoother than I am, but that will also fill up online reviews, referrals, testimonials, things like that.
And Corey did find the link. She posted it in the
Perfect.
chat. And then
Thank you,
also had
Corey.
a question. All my sales, a question for teams. All my sales are under team leader's name. Should my reviews go under him online or my own name, and can they be linked?
So I would ask your rainmaker that question on what you can and cannot do. Every team is created a little bit differently. So based on like what your team agreement allows you to do or not to do, I'd have that conversation with your team leader, rainmaker. But ideally, if you can get them underneath yourself, that's okay. If you cannot, let's just say that your rainmaker prefers that everything is underneath their name or underneath the team accounts. Most of the times when people write really good reviews, they'll mention the salesperson's name. So even though I may be on Amy's team and Amy's the rainmaker, someone will still say, hey, it was so great to work with Sam. He's your husband, so I'm asking more technically how to do this. That may depend on how your team's set up. Like if you're showing up more so as a brand than you are two individuals, you may just want to tie it all underneath the brand, because that's going to have a little bit more of a longer lasting allure online. If it gets to the point where you can sell your team, that's going to be beneficial for people that shows that you have those reviews long term. But I would say it's probably best on how people know you. So if they identify you as a team name, or if they identify you as an individual, go that route. Y'all been great. I love these questions. Cool. All right. So what's the one thing you're going to implement today? Let's get technical and tactical here. And that's the only thing that's stopping you from getting on with your day.
Create Zillow and use those questions you recommended, getting the review.
Yep. Excellent. Excellent. And don't skip the part. We need to go find that raving fan first, right? So when we're getting our testimonials, go find that one person that's in your database that's going to write your first review for you. Identify that person. Great. And Corey says template the email. Love that. Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna do a shameless reminder that we do have command on demand 9 hours a week. So if you guys need to review any of this, whether it's looking into smart plans, how to set up those email templates, anything like that, please, please, please join us. There's always a leadership or ALC member or somebody on one of the tech committees there to help you out. So I put the little flyer in the chat and you can find the link on the E2P website too. So twice a day we have that.
Love that. Yeah. Please use, you have a very wonderful technology person inside your market center. Please, please, please use Amy. She knows what she's doing. And then I saw, Corey, your question, how far back can we go with past clients? Go as far back as you feel is comfortable with. And if it gets too far, like if I'm reaching out to somebody, it's been, let's just say 5 years, and that feels weird to ask for a review, reframe your initial introduction. I would say, hey, Corey, this is Sam Jackson. It's been a while. Can you help me with something? Because when you're asking for help, people like to help you. Like generally people are nice and like to help you. So if you reframe it instead of, hey, will you write an online review for me? We talk about your experience that you probably don't remember really from 5 years ago. I would just reframe it. I'm looking, like just being transparent. I'm really looking to build my online presence for this year. I'm looking to get a head start on it for 2022. You're one of my favorite people to work in the past. I know you probably don't remember a whole lot, but would you mind writing an online review for me and then go into those 5 questions? So I would say go as far back as you want, just depending on how far it is, you may just want to reframe the way you're asking. I'm looking for help more so than I'm looking for a review. Cool. Excellent. I'm going to drop my information in the chat, and then I'll send some deliverables to Amy, just as follow-up. But if you have any questions or need me for anything, please feel free to reach out. There's my email in the chat. It's just sam.jackson@kw.com.
Sam, thank you so much. I'm pretty sure everybody got a lot out of this. We're getting thank yous in the chat now. And like I said, we recorded this, so we'll put it in the E2P drive so we can share it with more people and everybody can look back. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
Thank you, Sam.
See ya.
Bye.